Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you're dealing with stress and pressure at work the wrong way? Most people believe that handling tight deadlines, conflicts, and task overload is simply part of the routine. But what if I told you there's a completely different and surprisingly effective way to overcome these challenges? Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, offers practical and profound solutions for those seeking not just to survive, but to thrive in the workplace. And the best part, you can start applying these principles today and see almost immediate results. Want to discover how this philosophy can transform your relationship with work? Get ready for an approach that not only challenges common beliefs, but also offers a quick reward for those willing to take the first step. The relevance of Stoicism in the workplace. Stoic philosophy, despite its ancient origins, gains new relevance in the modern workplace. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with deadlines, goals, and the pressure for results, Stoicism at work emerges as a practical tool for maintaining balance. It's not just about dealing with stress. It's about transforming adversities into opportunities for growth. And this isn't something reserved for ancient philosophers. You, right now, can apply these principles. Have you ever thought about how your life would be if, instead of reacting to the office chaos, you maintained your calm? When we think about Stoicism at work, we're talking about a way of facing pressure and stress with a new perspective. Instead of drowning in worries, Stoic practice suggests focusing on what we can control and letting the rest follow its course. Imagine yourself in a tense meeting with tight deadlines. The Stoic and you will take a deep breath and think, what is within my control? This way, negative emotions lose their power. Believe it or not, with a bit of practice, this change is easier than it seems. Another aspect that makes Stoicism so powerful in the workplace is its ability to shape our emotional responses. Many of us get carried away by frustration when things don't go as expected. But Stoicism teaches us that frustration comes from unrealistic expectations. A clear example: instead of getting irritated by that urgent email on a Friday afternoon, think of it as part of your job's reality. With practice, you'll see that accepting these events as natural minimizes stress and increases your productivity. Moreover, Stoicism at work invites us to develop impressive emotional resilience. Instead of reacting impulsively to difficulties, you start to cultivate it like a muscle, strong and stable. When that difficult colleague starts to bother you, instead of getting upset, you can apply a simple Stoic exercise. Ask yourself, does this really affect my work, or is it just noise? This type of reflection can transform the environment around you, making it much more peaceful. Stoicism also reminds us that difficulties at work are inevitable, but how we react to them is our choice. Modern companies demand more from their employees than ever before. But imagine facing each new challenge with the serenity of a Stoic sage. When tight deadlines and unattainable goals arise, instead of giving in to pressure, the Stoic focuses on what can be done now. By staying calm, you not only improve your performance, but also positively influence the team around you. And, of course, over time, this constant practice of Stoicism transforms the person. You go from someone who simply reacts to the work environment to someone who responds in a calculated and wise manner. Gradually, pressure and stress become mere opportunities for growth. But this is just the first door that Stoicism opens. As we delve deeper, you'll see how Stoic philosophy, in its essence, shapes every aspect of our professional life. What is Stoicism? Stoic philosophy, origin and principles. Stoicism, originating in ancient Greece, was founded by Zeno of Citium around 300 BC, and since then, it has shaped how we view the world. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what is within our control and accept what is not. The central idea is simple yet profound. Our emotions and reactions are what truly affect us, not external events. Imagine, for example, a typical day at work. An urgent email arrives, the boss demands a report, and deadlines are tight. The common response would be to feel overwhelmed. But what if, instead of reacting with stress, you controlled your emotions and focused on what you can really change? That is the essence of Stoicism. The pillars of Stoicism are virtue, reason, acceptance, and resilience. Virtue, in Stoicism, is the highest good, and all action should be guided by it. This means doing what is right, even when no one is watching. In the workplace, this virtue can manifest in various ways. Being honest in your decisions, treating colleagues with respect, and always acting with integrity. Think of a situation where a mistake was made. The initial impulse might be to cover it up or blame someone else. But the Stoic faces the error head-on and seeks correction with dignity. Another essential principle is rationality. Stoics believe that by using reason, we can overcome unnecessary emotions like anger or frustration. At work, this means approaching each problem logically, without letting emotions dominate your actions. For example, when faced with an apparently impossible task, the irrational mind might want to give up or procrastinate. However, the Stoic resorts to rationality, breaks the problem into smaller parts, and moves forward, knowing that each small step brings you closer to the solution. Acceptance of external events is also fundamental. Stoics teach that we should not resist what is beyond our control. Applying this in the workplace can be liberating. You don't control the decisions of the board, the behavior of colleagues, or even the economic conditions affecting your company. What you control is your reaction to these events. If a meeting is canceled at the last minute or a project is interrupted, the Stoics simply adjust their sails to the new course without emotional resistance. Resilience is the final pillar, and perhaps the most challenging. In Stoicism, it's not about avoiding difficulties but facing them with courage. Each obstacle is seen as an opportunity for growth. When you face an impossible deadline or a workplace conflict, instead of feeling defeated, the Stoic sees it as a chance to strengthen their mind and character. Imagine ending a stressful day and, instead of feeling exhausted, feeling strengthened by the lessons learned. In summary, Stoicism offers a clear path to overcoming stress and pressure in the workplace. It doesn't promise to eliminate difficulties, but teaches us to face them with serenity, rationality, and virtue. These principles, once applied, transform how we deal with daily challenges, paving the way for the development of a resilient and focused mindset. Now, with this solid foundation, it becomes easier to understand how this philosophy can be a powerful ally in the corporate scenario. Challenges in the workplace. The modern workplace is a true roller coaster of emotions and challenges. From the moment we step into the office until the instant we close our computers, we are bombarded with a series of situations that test our patience and ability to handle stress. Overcoming stress at work, especially during high-pressure moments, is a continuous task. Imagine those days when everything seems to go wrong. Deadlines are missed, demands come from all sides, and amidst it all, you still have to maintain your composure. Stoicism offers an interesting perspective here. By accepting external chaos and focusing on what we can control, the load seems lighter. The pressure for results and deadlines is another major challenge everyone faces at work. Often, this pressure comes from external sources like bosses and clients, but we mustn't forget the internal pressure we put on ourselves. How many times have you caught yourself thinking you could have done more or better? This constant self-criticism, although motivating in some cases, can easily turn into a stress factor. Stoicism teaches us that while the pursuit of excellence is valid, we must remember that we can only control our efforts, not the final result. This doesn't mean being complacent, but finding a healthy balance. Another constant challenge at work is interpersonal conflicts. Working with different people, with varying opinions, personalities, and ways of acting, is fertile ground for disagreements. Whether with team members, superiors, or even clients, these conflicts can easily turn into sources of tension and stress. However, Stoicism offers a practical solution. Instead of reacting impulsively, we should remember that the behavior of others is beyond our control. What we can control is our own reaction. By adopting this stance, we avoid falling into unproductive arguments and preserve our tranquility. Stress at work is almost inevitable, but how we deal with it makes all the difference. A clear example is when several important deadlines coincide. The common response would be to panic or feel overwhelmed. However, by applying Stoic principles, such as focusing on the present moment and controlling emotions, you can prioritize tasks and maintain calm, even under pressure. This not only improves your performance, but also avoids emotional burnout. When work pressure accumulates, It's easy to feel like you're drowning in a sea of responsibilities. Stoicism teaches us that in moments of high tension, the secret lies in maintaining focus on what is within our reach and not wasting energy on what we cannot change. Is the boss urgently demanding that report? Instead of complaining or resisting, the Stoic simply organizes and executes, knowing that efficiency in their action is the only thing they can control. The challenges in the workplace are many, but when viewed through the lens of Stoicism, they become opportunities for personal development. Each time we overcome stress, deal with pressure, or resolve a conflict, we are actually strengthening our emotional resilience and our ability to face adversities. And this is just a small part of what Stoicism can offer us in terms of practical wisdom for dealing with the corporate daily grind. Now that we understand the fundamentals of these principles, let's explore ways to apply them even more deeply and effectively in our daily lives. How Stoicism can help in the workplace. Stoicism, contrary to what many think, is not a philosophy distant from practical reality. In fact, it offers powerful tools for dealing with the daily challenges of the workplace. One of the most valuable principles is virtue, as the basis of all actions. For Stoics, virtue is the only true good, and this translates into acting justly, honestly, and morally correctly, regardless of the circumstances. In the corporate environment, this means making decisions that reflect your values, even under pressure or when things get tough. Imagine a scenario where a quick and ethical decision needs to be made. The Stoic does not waver. They act with integrity. Another key point of Stoicism is focusing on what is within our control. How many times at work do we encounter situations that are completely out of our reach? A classic example is when a project depends on the approval of a client or the action of a colleague. Stoicism reminds us to concentrate our energies on what we can influence: our actions, our effort, and our attitude. By eliminating anxiety about what is beyond our control, we can maintain calm and focus on what truly matters: the efficient and serene execution of our tasks. Acceptance of external events is another crucial pillar. At work, we are often impacted by decisions that do not originate from us, such as company restructurings, leadership changes, or new goals. Resisting these changes generates stress and frustration, but the Stoic accepts what happens externally without letting it affect their inner peace. This does not mean being passive, but embracing reality as it is and adapting to it. A practical example would be when you receive an unexpected task. Instead of rebelling, the Stoic simply accepts the new demand and seeks the best way to execute it without emotional strain. Applying these principles in the daily work routine can bring surprising results. Imagine, for example, dealing with a difficult colleague, someone who always seems to create problems. The Stoic, instead of getting irritated or losing patience, maintains calm and remembers that the behavior of others is beyond their control. They focus on their own attitude and seek to resolve the conflict rationally and serenely. By doing this, they not only preserve their peace of mind, but also improve their interpersonal relationships and their image in the workplace. Stoic philosophy also promotes the idea that difficulties are opportunities for growth. Therefore, each challenge faced at work, whether a tight deadline, received criticism, or a mistake made, is a chance to improve. The Stoic sees adversities as an opportunity to strengthen their resilience and their ability to act with serenity in any situation. If something goes wrong in a project, for example, instead of blaming themselves or panicking, the Stoic reflects on what they can learn from the experience and moves forward, better prepared for the next challenge. By applying these principles, the Stoic worker not only overcomes stress and pressure, but also stands out for their ability to deal with the most adverse situations with admirable tranquility. They become an example for others, showing that it is possible to face the daily chaos without losing focus, rationality, and integrity. And this is just one of the many ways Stoicism can transform our approach to work. Applying Stoicism in the daily work routine. Maintaining calm in stressful situations is a true challenge in the workplace. Imagine being in the middle of a busy day, with deadlines approaching and colleagues demanding your attention at every moment. For many, this would be a reason to lose patience, but Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in maintaining serenity. This means adopting a stance of acceptance and emotional control. A practice that can help is taking a conscious pause before reacting. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, accept it and move on. Emotional resilience is another fundamental virtue in the workplace. We all go through ups and downs, but how we deal with these moments makes all the difference. Practicing resilience is learning to pick yourself up after setbacks and keeping your focus on the long term. A practical example is when you receive criticism at work. The initial impulse might be defensive or emotional, but the Stoic uses this moment to reflect and grow. They see criticism as an opportunity to improve, without getting bogged down by feelings of inadequacy or frustration. Learning to prioritize tasks without giving into pressure is one of the biggest secrets to a balanced professional life. When we are overloaded, it's easy to get lost in the midst of so many demands. Stoicism teaches us to do one thing at a time, giving each task the attention it deserves without letting stress dominate. A good strategy is to start the day by defining the 3 most important tasks and focusing on them before getting sidetracked. This creates a more efficient workflow and reduces the feeling of always running against time. Another essential aspect is knowing how to deal with unexpected situations at work. Whether it's a last-minute change in a project or a problem that arises out of nowhere, the Stoic prepares mentally to accept the unpredictable. Instead of getting frustrated, they see each obstacle as a chance to test their adaptability. A practical exercise here is to start the day reminding yourself that unexpected events can happen. This way, when they do, you'll be emotionally prepared to deal with them calmly and rationally. Practicing acceptance is something that can be applied to many aspects of work, but especially in relation to expectations. Often, we want things to turn out a certain way, and when they don't, we get frustrated. The Stoic, however, understands that not everything is within their control, and accepting circumstances without resistance is the path to a calm mind. A simple example would be when a client changes their mind about a project at the last minute. Instead of lamenting or resisting, the Stoic accepts the change and adjusts their work accordingly, without drama or stress. The key to applying Stoicism in the daily work routine lies in consistency. It's not enough to practice these ideas just occasionally. By incorporating these lessons daily, you'll begin to notice a gradual change, both in how you face challenges and in your ability to maintain calm under pressure. And as we progress, we'll see that dealing with work pressure with the help of Stoicism can be a true revolution in how we relate to our colleagues and tasks. Dealing with pressure at work using Stoic principles. Pressure at work is something we all face at some point. Whether due to tight deadlines, demanding goals, or unexpected demands, this feeling can easily overwhelm us. Here, Stoicism offers an antidote: rationality. When we are pressured, we often let our emotions take over, which only worsens the situation. The Stoic, however, adopts a different approach, analyzing each situation calmly and logically. They ask themselves, what are the facts? What can I do now? This process of questioning helps bring clarity and reduces the feeling of chaos. Another crucial point is avoiding emotional burnout. Stoicism constantly reminds us that we have control over our emotions. Work can be challenging, but it doesn't have to be emotionally exhausting. A practical example of this would be creating moments of pause during the day, where you can reconnect with yourself and restore your mental energy. Something simple like a short walk or a quick mindfulness practice can make a huge difference in your ability to deal with pressure. And remember, emotions are responses, not absolute truths. Moreover, it's important to highlight that Stoicism teaches us not to fear results. Pressure often comes from external expectations, from bosses, colleagues, or even ourselves. But according to the Stoics, the only result that matters is the virtuous effort we put into each task. They believe that as long as you have done your best, the outcome is not something to be feared. At work, this means focusing on the process, on the small actions that are within your control, rather than stressing about what is yet to come. Stoic resilience also proves vital here. When facing pressure, the Stoic sees each challenge as an opportunity to strengthen their character. A good example would be tackling an important project with seemingly impossible deadlines. Instead of despairing, you can see this as a chance to test your organization and focus. This changes the perspective, transforming pressure into an ally rather than an enemy. Remember, each challenging situation is an opportunity for growth, not an insurmountable barrier. Another important principle is simplicity. Often, we complicate situations too much when under pressure. The Stoic, however, seek simplicity in solutions. They ask simple questions. What is the next step? What is most important now? This helps alleviate mental overload and allows you to progress more efficiently. A practical example would be breaking a large project into smaller parts, dealing with each one methodically, without rush, but with focus. With this, the pressure dissipates and productivity increases. Dealing with pressure at work, then, is less about eliminating stress and more about learning to control it. By applying Stoic principles, you discover that pressure doesn't have to be viewed negatively. On the contrary, it can be a path to strengthening your mind, refining your skills, and growing both professionally and personally. And thus, we open the door to exploring another great challenge: conflicts in the workplace. Right here, how to deal with conflicts at work with Stoicism. Conflicts in the workplace are inevitable. Stoicism teaches us that instead of fleeing or confronting directly, we should adopt a stance of understanding and serenity. The Stoic view on conflicts begins with the acceptance that we do not always control the actions of others, only our reactions. Imagine a heated discussion with a colleague. Instead of reacting impulsively, the Stoic chooses to listen and reflect before responding. This approach helps dissipate tensions and promotes more constructive dialogue, without emotional strain. Addressing discussions and disagreements from a Stoic perspective is like applying a filter of rationality and empathy. Often, workplace conflicts arise from misunderstandings or differences in perspective. The Stoic recognizes that the other person is also dealing with their own pressures and challenges. A practical example would be, instead of arguing defensively, asking questions to better understand the other person's point of view. Asking, "How can we resolve this together?" can transform a potentially explosive situation into an opportunity for collaboration. It's also important to practice self-awareness during conflicts. The Stoic is always attentive to their own emotions and thoughts. When we let ourselves be carried away by anger or frustration, we end up saying or doing things that do not reflect our true intentions. Therefore, the exercise of self-vigilance is essential. During a discussion, a good practice is to pause for a few seconds and ask, "Am I reacting or am I responding thoughtfully?" This simple pause can prevent an escalation of the conflict and bring more clarity to the situation. Another fundamental aspect is learning not to take things personally. In the workplace, criticism or disagreements are often about the work, not about you as a person. The Stoic understands this distinction and does not let their ego interfere. An example would be receiving harsh feedback from a superior. Instead of feeling offended, the Stoic focuses on the constructive message and seeks to improve their actions without resentment. This way, they transform criticism into a learning point. Dealing with conflicts also involves practicing the art of peaceful resolution. This does not mean avoiding confrontation at all costs, but finding ways to resolve the problem without increasing tensions. The Stoic asks, "What is the best possible outcome here?" An example would be mediating a situation between colleagues, helping both sides to listen to each other without interruptions, and seeking an agreement that benefits everyone. By adopting this conciliatory stance, you not only resolve the conflict but also gain the respect and trust of everyone. Finally, the Stoic knows that not all conflicts will be resolved immediately. Sometimes, time is needed for emotions to calm down and solutions to appear. Knowing how to have patience and trust in the process is a valuable virtue. And thus, with each challenge overcome, the workplace becomes a more harmonious space. Now, with conflicts under control, it's time to explore the importance of discipline in Stoicism and at work. The role of discipline in Stoicism and at work. Discipline is one of the fundamental pillars of Stoicism, and in the workplace, it becomes an essential virtue for dealing with daily challenges. In Stoicism, self-discipline is seen as the foundation for achieving excellence, as it allows the individual to act according to reason, not momentary impulses. At work, this translates into maintaining focus on your responsibilities, even when distractions or adversities arise. A practical example would be creating a daily routine that you follow rigorously, regardless of the circumstances, ensuring that your priorities are always in order. Having an effective routine is one of the most practical paths to developing discipline. The Stoic believes that routine is not a prison, but a facilitator of freedom. When you have clarity about your tasks and perform them methodically, stress decreases and productivity increases. An example would be adopting a consistent morning practice, such as reviewing your goals for the day and determining the most important tasks. This not only helps minimize stress, but also creates a stable work rhythm that avoids mental overload. Self-discipline is also a powerful ally in time management. In Stoicism, time is viewed as a precious resource that should be well utilized. In the context of work, this means avoiding procrastination and focusing on completing the most important tasks before getting distracted by less relevant activities. A practical example would be using techniques like the Pomodoro method, where you concentrate intensely for 25-minute blocks, followed by short breaks. This helps maintain focus and avoid wasting time. Another important aspect of discipline is the ability to resist the temptation to react emotionally in difficult situations. At work, we can be tested by unexpected events or stressful situations. However, the Stoic knows that reacting with anger or frustration rarely brings good results. The practice of emotional discipline involves taking a deep breath, analyzing the situation calmly, and responding rationally. An example would be during a tense meeting. Instead of interrupting or arguing aggressively, you can wait your turn to speak, process the information, and respond thoughtfully. Moreover, discipline is directly linked to the Stoic concept of virtue. For Stoics, living according to virtue is the path to a fulfilling life, and this requires constant self-control and discipline. At work, this means maintaining integrity and acting ethically, even when no one is watching. An example of this would be meeting deadlines without the need for constant supervision or taking responsibility for a mistake before someone else discovers it. Virtuous discipline creates trust and respect in the professional environment. Discipline is, therefore, the engine that drives progress at work and in personal life. With it, we overcome laziness, stress, and distractions, aligning ourselves with our greater goals. And now that we understand the importance of discipline, we will explore how to develop a true Stoic mindset at work, something that can completely transform your professional approach. Developing a Stoic mindset at work. Developing a Stoic mindset in the workplace is more than just applying techniques of resilience and emotional control. It's a true internal transformation. The Stoic understands that their role at work goes beyond meeting goals and deadlines. They strive to be proactive, maintaining a balanced stance in any situation. Proactivity here does not just refer to taking the lead in projects, but to being mentally prepared to face challenges with calm and rationality. An example of this is anticipating potential obstacles in a project and already being prepared to solve them without anxiety. Adopting a proactive stance involves accepting that not everything is within your control, but your response always is. When something goes wrong at work, a missed deadline, or a meeting that didn't go as expected, the Stoic doesn't waste time lamenting, but focuses on what can be done to correct the course. Instead of blaming the colleague or the circumstances, they act with serenity and seek solutions. A good exercise is, at the end of each day, to review what could have been done better and plan concrete actions for the next day. Beyond proactivity, gratitude is a powerful tool that the Stoic uses to cultivate a positive mindset, even in the face of challenges. In the workplace, where pressure and stress are frequent, pausing to reflect on the positive can be a relief. A practical gratitude exercise is to start the day by listing 3 things you are grateful for in your work, whether it's the opportunity to learn, the help of a colleague, or even the simple fact of having a job. This practice helps put challenges in perspective and maintain a lighter mental attitude. Acceptance is also an essential part of this mindset. Accepting external events does not mean resigning oneself, but recognizing that reality sometimes presents obstacles beyond our control. At work, this can be especially useful when facing sudden changes, such as a new direction in a project or a team restructuring. By accepting these changes with serenity, the Stoic saves mental energy that would be spent on frustration and focuses on adapting in the best possible way. The practice of asking, "What can I learn from this situation?" helps redirect focus to personal growth. Stoicism also teaches that true strength lies in facing adversity head-on. To develop this mindset at work, it's important to remember that each challenge is an opportunity for growth. An example would be dealing with a demanding boss or an overwhelming workload. Instead of complaining, the Stoic uses these moments to strengthen their emotional resilience. They know that overcoming stress and pressure makes them more prepared for the next challenge, like an athlete who trains to become stronger with each competition. Developing a Stoic mindset at work is not something that happens overnight, but a continuous journey of self-discovery and improvement. With each step, you become more resilient, more focused, and more prepared to deal with any situation that arises. And now that we understand how this mindset can be cultivated, let's explore the art of saying no without guilt, an essential skill for maintaining focus and sanity in the workplace. The art of saying no without guilt. Learning to say no in the workplace is an essential skill for maintaining focus and productivity. Often, the desire to please others or the fear of appearing uncommitted leads us to accept tasks and responsibilities that end up overloading our schedule. However, Stoicism teaches that we should prioritize what truly matters and avoid getting involved in activities that do not contribute to our goals. A practical example would be saying no to an additional project that, although interesting, would divert your focus from priority responsibilities. Saying no is also directly related to the power of focus. When we accept more tasks than we can handle, our attention fragments, leading to stress and inefficiency. The Stoic, on the other hand, knows that concentrating on a few activities but executing them with excellence is the path to success. Imagine, for example, that you have an important report to deliver. If, in addition to that, you take on several other small demands, you risk compromising the quality of both. By setting clear boundaries, you ensure that your performance remains high. Assertiveness in saying no is also deeply rooted in the idea of Stoic authenticity. By refusing a task or request, you are actually respecting your own limits and recognizing your real capabilities. This does not mean being selfish or inflexible, but rather having clarity about where your energy is best invested. A good example is when a colleague requests help on a side project, and you politely explain that, at the moment, your workload is already full, but you make yourself available for a future opportunity. This preserves the professional relationship without sacrificing your focus. Another important aspect is knowing how to deal with the guilt that often accompanies the act of saying no. Culturally, we are taught to associate refusal with lack of commitment, but the Stoic understands that guilt is an emotion that can be controlled and rationalized. Instead of feeling bad for prioritizing your tasks, you should see the no as an act of self-preservation and respect for your time. One way to apply this is to always remember that by saying no to something, you are saying yes to something more important, whether it's your productivity, your well-being, or your personal goals. Knowing how to say no also prevents task overload, something common in demanding work environments. The ability to recognize when your schedule is already at its limit and act accordingly is an undervalued but crucial skill for maintaining balance. Practicing this assertiveness can start with small refusals, such as avoiding unnecessary meetings or delegating tasks that are not within your scope. Gradually, you will feel more comfortable protecting your time and energy for what truly makes a difference. Now that we understand the importance of saying no without guilt, the next step is to discover how to better manage time, a valuable resource that, when well used, can completely transform the way we work. Let's explore Stoic practices that help maximize your productivity without feeling overwhelmed. Stoic practices for managing time. Time is one of the most valuable resources we have, especially in the workplace, where the demand for results is constant. Stoic philosophy teaches us to value the present and use it wisely, without wasting our time on distractions or unnecessary worries. For the Stoic, every minute counts, and the way we organize our daily tasks can make all the difference between a productive day and a chaotic one. A simple yet powerful practice is to start the day by reviewing your priorities and defining what really needs to be done. Effective time management also involves knowing when and how to interrupt certain activities. Sometimes, we find ourselves stuck in tasks that consume more time than they should, or that do not directly contribute to our goals. The Stoic recognizes when it's time to stop and redirect their energy to something more productive. An example would be limiting the time spent in meetings that could be replaced by an email or a quick conversation. Practicing this type of discernment is fundamental to avoiding the feeling of always running out of time. Moreover, Stoicism teaches that we should focus on the present and avoid being distracted by worries about the future. Many professionals waste time worrying about deadlines that are still far away or problems that have not yet arisen. Instead of getting anxious, the Stoic focuses on what can be done now. A useful technique is to break down large projects into smaller, more manageable tasks. This way, each action seems less daunting, and you can consistently advance without feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of the work. Maintaining productivity without feeling overwhelmed also requires the practice of self-care. The Stoic understands that to be efficient, one must take care of the body and mind. Small breaks throughout the day, meditation practices, or even a brief walk can renew your energy and improve your focus. Imagine that, on a day of intense work, you take 5 minutes to breathe deeply and disconnect from the demands around you. This small gesture can significantly increase your ability to face the rest of the day with more clarity and less stress. Time organization also involves setting boundaries. It's not just about saying no to tasks, but about reserving moments dedicated exclusively to deep, focused work. This can mean turning off notifications for a while, or even isolating yourself from interruptions. When you commit to completing a task in a specific period without distractions, it's impressive how much can be achieved in less time. This discipline helps reduce procrastination and maximizes your efficiency. Now that we have explored these practices for managing time, it is interesting to see how historical and modern figures have applied Stoicism in the workplace to deal with similar challenges. Let's dive into examples of Stoicism in the professional environment and understand how these lessons can be applied in practice. Examples of Stoicism in the workplace. Stoic philosophy has been applied by various historical and modern figures in the workplace, demonstrating its relevance in overcoming everyday challenges. A striking example is that of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and great practitioner of Stoicism. During his reign, he faced political crises and wars, but used Stoic principles to maintain calm and focus on what he could control. In the workplace, we can apply this approach by dealing with problems rationally and without being dominated by emotion, such as resolving a conflict with a colleague without losing composure. In modern times, we find practical examples of Stoicism in the workplace in figures like Tim Ferriss, an author and entrepreneur who uses Stoic principles to manage his time and avoid stress. Ferriss openly discusses how Stoic philosophy helps him focus on what is essential and accept things that are beyond his control. For those seeking a way to overcome stress and pressure at work, applying these techniques, such as daily reviewing your priorities and eliminating unnecessary tasks, can be a transformative starting point. Additionally, we find Stoicism in the practices of CEOs of large companies who use self-discipline to make difficult decisions. An example is Jeff Bezos, who, while building Amazon, faced numerous challenges but continued to make decisions based on reason, not the emotion of the moment. In the workplace, this can be applied by facing a crisis with a calm and calculated approach, rather than panicking or making impulsive decisions. This way, you preserve your mental health and ensure better long-term results. Stoicism also manifests in smaller, but equally impactful actions in the daily lives of professionals who, when facing tight deadlines, use breathing and meditation techniques to stay calm. Practices like Stoic meditation, where you reflect on your emotions and decisions, can be useful for maintaining emotional balance under pressure. Imagine a professional who, instead of succumbing to stress, takes a conscious pause to breathe deeply before continuing with their tasks. This small gesture can be the key to facing difficult situations with clarity. Another interesting example is that of high-performance athletes, such as tennis player Novak Djokovic, who has stated that he uses Stoic concepts to maintain concentration during moments of great pressure and competitions. In the workplace, this same mentality can be adopted when facing intense challenges, such as an important presentation or a delicate negotiation. Instead of letting anxiety affect performance, applying Stoic rationality helps maintain focus on the present and what can be controlled. With these examples of Stoicism in the workplace, it becomes clear how this philosophy can be applied in various areas to improve productivity and well-being. Now, it's time to understand the practical benefits of adopting Stoicism in the workplace and how it can directly impact your professional routine. Benefits of Stoicism in the workplace. Adopting Stoicism in the workplace can completely transform the way we deal with daily stress and pressures. One of the greatest benefits is the reduction of stress, as Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is controllable and accept what is beyond our reach. Imagine facing a tight deadline. Instead of drowning in anxiety, the Stoic professional organizes their priorities and acts rationally, maintaining calm and optimizing their performance. Another evident benefit is increased productivity. When you focus only on what can be controlled and set aside worries about external factors, your level of concentration increases. A person who worries less about what others think and more about their own actions, for example, can perform their tasks with greater efficiency. By eliminating unnecessary mental distractions, Stoicism in the workplace allows for greater clarity of thought and, consequently, better results. Stoicism also improves relationships at work. The philosophy teaches us not to react impulsively to emotions, which helps avoid conflicts and misunderstandings. A practical example is in situations of disagreement with colleagues. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, the Stoic professional reflects before responding, seeking a solution that benefits both parties. This emotional control contributes to a more harmonious and cooperative work environment. Moreover, Stoicism in the workplace strengthens emotional resilience, something essential for dealing with constant pressures. By practicing the acceptance of adversities and seeing each challenge as an opportunity for growth, the professional develops a stronger and more stable mindset. For example, when faced with criticism, instead of reacting defensively, the Stoic uses criticism as a tool for improvement. This continuous process of self-development is one of the main reasons why many successful leaders follow Stoic principles. Another important advantage is the ability to deal with unexpected changes. In a dynamic work environment, we often encounter unforeseen situations, such as changes in priorities or the cancellation of a project. Stoicism helps to accept these situations with serenity, without despair. By focusing on what can be done, the professional maintains balance, quickly adapting to new circumstances. Finally, Stoicism also promotes greater personal satisfaction at work. By aligning your actions with deeper values and focusing on virtue, the professional finds meaning in their work, even in the most routine tasks. This more intentional approach generates a sense of purpose and, over time, greater well-being in the corporate environment. Now, how can we start applying these Stoic principles in the workplace? How to start your Stoic journey in the workplace. Starting to apply Stoicism in the workplace may seem challenging, but it is something that can be done gradually and effectively. A good first step is to adopt the daily practice of reflection. Take a few minutes at the beginning or end of each day to evaluate how you handle the challenges at work, identifying areas where you could have exercised more emotional control or focus. This helps create awareness about your reactions and attitudes, which is the foundation for any significant change. Another simple step is to practice the Stoic principle of focusing on what is under your control. Whenever a stressful situation arises, such as a tight deadline or criticism from a superior, pause and ask yourself, what is really under my control in this situation? This helps you eliminate worry about what cannot be changed and concentrate your energies on what can be done to improve the situation. You can, for example, reorganize your tasks or adjust your expectations, which, over time, can significantly reduce stress. Incorporating small practices of self-discipline into your daily routine is also essential for starting this journey. Stoicism values self-discipline as a fundamental virtue, and this can be practiced in simple ways, such as maintaining an organized routine, setting clear limits for the use of time, and avoiding distractions that take focus away from your priorities. Use tools like to-do lists or time management techniques, such as the Pomodoro method, to ensure that you are always in control of your activities. Another powerful practice for starting your Stoic journey in the workplace is the exercise of gratitude. Every day, reserve a moment to reflect on something for which you are grateful in your work environment, whether it's an achievement, a learning experience, or even the opportunity to deal with a challenge. This exercise helps change your perspective, making work a more positive and less stressful experience. It can be useful to keep a gratitude journal, noting small victories and positive aspects that often go unnoticed. Practicing acceptance is another vital step. In the workplace, we are often confronted with situations that are beyond our control, such as company decisions, team changes, or results that do not turn out as expected. Accepting these events as part of reality, without being emotionally shaken, is a central practice of Stoicism. Whenever something unexpected happens, instead of reacting negatively, accept the situation as it is and ask yourself what can be done from that point. Now that you understand some simple steps to start applying Stoicism in the workplace, it's time to adopt these practices consistently to see the results in your professional life. Conclusion. Now that you have had a complete introduction to Stoicism in the workplace, it's time to reflect on the positive impact this philosophy can have on your professional life. Imagine entering the workplace every day with a calm mind, knowing exactly what you can and cannot control, facing challenges with resilience, and overcoming stress and pressure without losing balance. Stoicism offers this clarity. But how can you apply this in practice? The first step is to adopt a proactive mindset. If you worry about others' opinions, feel pressured by results, or are always reacting to conflicts, pause and think. What is really under your control? With this change in perspective, you can find new ways to deal with the environment around you. Wouldn't it be incredible if you could transform these difficulties into opportunities for growth? If the idea of reducing stress and improving your relationships at work already sounds attractive, why not start today? Stoicism is not a magical solution, but with small daily adjustments, you can become more productive and less susceptible to external pressures. Just imagine how your colleagues would perceive this transformation, and how it could influence your performance and happiness at work. Now, the challenge is yours. Are you ready to take the next step and become a more resilient, focused, and balanced professional? Think about the areas of your life where Stoicism can make a difference and start applying it, one small change at a time. Stoicism is a powerful tool that can transform your way of thinking and acting, not just at work, but in all aspects of your life. If this content has brought you new ideas, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and continue following more teachings about Stoicism. After all, we are just beginning this learning journey, and there is much more to explore and practice. How about continuing this path together?